1 in 3 veterans, they don't even know that they have this benefit, and the ones that do, well, they're getting wrong information from people who don't understand the complexities that we're trying to navigate. And if you're still wearing the uniform, well, there's even additional layers of time constraints if you're looking to use your VA loan. Now, I just got this question and I love it because now we can unpack it, and here it is. Hey, Weldon. We're a military family about the PCS to Joint Base San Antonio, JBSA, and we've heard that VA loans are amazing, but honestly, we don't really understand how they work. How do we actually need and what do we actually need to know before we start looking at houses? Great question. Thanks for submitting it. And it gives us the opportunity to talk about it because now we can learn from one another. So, what I heard right there was PCS to JBSA. They're looking at houses and they want to use a VA loan. There's a major part of this that's missing, though, the time dynamic. The question that I have is how long is your next assignment? Because that answer, that actually changes everything. If you're not willing to hold on to that home, and this is whether you're a veteran or active duty for at least 5 years, the numbers probably don't work into your favor. You're taking on significant risk if you wanted to sell it before that because it doesn't give you the time to weather any kind of storms or slight dips in pricing. Now, is there a housing crash? I don't see that happening, but there will always be these ups and downs. Think of it like a stock chart. But at the end of the day, that is a life question. We call this channel Life, Wealth, Real Estate because we want to answer what is the life goal? What does your life look like for the foreseeable future? How do we optimize that for wealth? And then we focus on the real estate. That's why I go back to the timeline. That timeline, if they're not willing to hold on to it for 5 years, perhaps they get orders and they have to leave earlier than that 5-year time mark. Are they willing to rent it out? Do they have some cash set aside to be able to manage that? It is great to start a nest egg, especially whenever we're moving every few years. But at the same time, we need to set it up for success. Because at the end of the day, you can quickly lose money if you're not doing things right. So that's why today I want to break down these 7 things that first-time military buyers, what you got to know and what to know about VA loans. And I'm not talking about the surface level stuff. What I'm talking about are the details that matter when you're making a decision of this magnitude. And so by the end of this, you're going to know exactly how VA loans work, what paperwork that you need, and then whether buying right now even makes sense for your situation. All right, let's go with point number 1, and that is, are you eligible for a VA loan? And you likely are. You just need to prove it. If you've worn the uniform, served 90 days of active duty during wartime, or 181 days during peacetime, or 6 years during as a guard or reserve member, you likely qualify for a VA loan. Now, the wartime definition for VA loan purposes, and I need to read this here, it's under the VA rules, the Persian Gulf War period began August 2nd, 1990, and it has no end date yet. And it only ends when set by law or presidential proclamation. So if you've served 90 days on active duty since August 2nd, 1990, then you're qualifying, okay? And then that same thing applies to Guard and Reserve if they've served Title 10 orders for those 90 days as well since that timeline. Okay, the way you prove it, though, this is where when I say likely, you have to prove that you meet these qualifications. It's getting your certificate of eligibility or COE. And the good news is you don't actually have to dig through a bunch of paperwork in order to prove it or get it. If you're still active duty, you can go to a lender and they should be able to pull it within minutes. Same if you're a veteran, or you can go to your va.gov account and be able to pull it there when you go to the benefits side of that. Now, most of the time, though, if you go through the lender, it's going to be same day. In the lender, they're going to show you exactly how much entitlement that you have available. And I want you to think of entitlement as the government's promise to back a portion of your loan. So that's what makes everything run. Why a mortgage lender is willing to give a loan for $0, because at that point you don't have any skin in the game, but your skin is covered by the VA in this case. So I know that that's a lot. That was a mouthful. and I want you to know that you're not going through this alone. You'll see a link down in the caption below. It's called start.askweldonhobbs.com. Go to that. You're going to answer 8 to 10 questions, and it kind of gives you some context of how to set yourself up for success if you're thinking about buying or selling with your VA loan. And once you get through that, you can book time with me. I will help strategize with you. I will connect you to lenders, CPA, certified financial planner, whatever you might need to set your situation, your transition up for success. Doesn't cost anything to you at all. What I do is I connect you to other professionals based on our strategy and things that I've seen, and we talk through that. And lastly, if this content is appealing to you or you're finding value in it, click that subscribe button. I'd love to be able to connect with you at some point. And I have a whole library of VA loan content and life, wealth, and real estate content coming your way. All right, now this is point number 2, and this is zero down payment. But here's what that actually means. This is the headline that everyone knows, that the VA, they allow you to buy with $0 down. Not 5, not 10, not 3.5%, not 3%, 0. But here's what most people don't understand. Since January of 2020, there are no limits for veterans with full entitlement. None. You can buy a $600,000 home. You can buy a $1 million home, a $2 million home. It doesn't matter. If you qualify based on income and your credit score, then the VA, they're going to back it with 0 down. But before 2020, there were county limits. You'd have to make a down payment on anything above that limit. That's gone now. The catch is you still have to qualify. So 0 down doesn't mean 0 requirements. Your debt to income ratio, that still matters. Your income, that still matters. Your credit history, that still matters. The VA just removed the artificial ceiling. Now, number 3, this is closing costs. They still exist, even though you might qualify for a VA loan for 0 down, that you still need to save some money there, because there is some money that you have to bring to the closing table, potentially. If you're looking at the closing costs, you can have title insurance, appraisal fees, recording fees, the VA funding fee. The funding fee here for first-time home buyers, that's going to be, when you're putting 0 down, you have to do that funding fee of 2.15% of the loan amount. So on a $400,000 home, that's $8,600. Now, what most people don't know, you can roll that funding fee into your loan, which is awesome, and you don't have to pay it out of pocket. And if you have a service-related disability, you can roll that funding fee into your loan. Know your options, because that works for some people. It doesn't make sense for others, but you don't have to pay it out of pocket. And if you have a service-connected disability rating of 10% or higher, the funding fee, it's actually completely waived. So for typical closing costs beyond the funding fee, so plan for 1 to 2% of the purchase price. So at a $400,000 home, again, that's $4,000 to $8,000. Some of that can be negotiated with the seller. Some of it can be rolled into the loan, but go in with a realistic number. Have money and set aside in the bank account, because when you have money, you have options. Now, number 4, you can buy more than a single family home. This is a game changer. So VA loans, they're not just for single family houses. You can purchase up to a 4-unit property. So that's a duplex, triplex, a fourplex, as long as you live in one of those units. This is commonly known as house hacking, and it's one of the most powerful wealth building strategies available to military out there. You buy that fourplex, you live in one unit, rent out the other 3. And the rental income, that helps cover your mortgage. And in some markets, it covers everything, the entire cost of the building. The VA allows lenders to count up to 75% of the expected rental income towards your qualification as well. Now, every lender is different, but just know that that is a possibility, but you have to ask the question. What that means, though, is that you might qualify for more property than you think. For military families building wealth while dealing with PCS moves every few years, this is absolutely worth understanding. And if you're watching this thinking, okay, Weldon, how do I know if this actually makes sense for my situation? That's exactly what we talk about in the phone calls. Every situation is different. We talk through it and make sure that it makes sense at a surface level, and then connect you with the lender to make sure that the next layer, yeah, there's a reasonable chance of success of doing this. Know also that because every situation is different, every assignment length, that matters, that's different. Your family situation, that matters. So whether you're gonna rent it out or sell again when you PCS, that idea matters. Keep watching, but know that the PCS checkpoints in the description below, whenever you go to start.askweldonhobbs.com, like, that's gonna help you figure out what applies to you. All right, point number 5, these are credit requirements, and no matter what you've heard, it's probably a little different than what I'm about to share. Here's something that surprises people, and that's that the VA itself, they have no minimum credit score whatsoever. None. 0. Now your lender, they're the ones that have the credit score requirement, and most VA lenders, they're gonna wanna see a score of 620 or higher. Some, they're gonna work with you down to 580 if you have compensating factors like strong income, low debt, 12 months of on-time rent payments. But the VA's actual guidance is to look at your entire credit picture, not just a number. So if you've had a rough patch because of a deployment, a divorce, a medical emergency, you can document it and show recovery. And many lenders, they're gonna work with you. This is where shopping around and who you're working with, why it matters. Different lenders have different risk appetites. The lender who says no at 590 might not be the only option. So just something to think about. Now, number 6 here, this is, you can use your VA loan benefit again and again. It's not a one-time benefit that is one and done. You can use your VA loan entitlement multiple times throughout your life. If you sold your last house and paid off the VA loan, your entitlement, it gets restored, or you have the opportunity to do that. You can use it again with the same 0 down benefit. And if you still own a property with a VA loan, you actually might still have entitlement remaining, which is called second tier or bonus entitlement. That lets you buy another home. This is how some military families end up with multiple properties using VA loans. The key is understanding your certificate of eligibility and how much entitlement that you have available. This is especially important for families who bought at one duty station and then they're now PCSing to another. Know your options. I'll connect you with that lender that will help explain those to you. Now, number 7 here, the VA appraisal. This is actually a protection for you. So sellers, they do need to understand it. So if you have a VA loan and you're trying to sell your home, listen in, because every VA loan, it requires an appraisal by a VA assigned appraiser. So somebody that's trained in what they're looking for. And it's not just about the value of the home, it's actually about the condition of the home. The VA, they have what's called minimum property requirements, or MPRs. That ensures that the home is safe, sound, and sanitary. Now, some sellers, they hear VA buyer and they get nervous, but to me, that's a misnomer. It's old news. The VA loans, they're around, they're very prevalent today, and at the end of the day, it's a protection for even the seller more so than a liability. So just know that the professionals that you're working with, between the lender and the real estate professional, that they'll know how to navigate this when they're putting forward an offer on your behalf. Because again, I don't think that sellers, they shouldn't be nervous. The NPRs, they're not unreasonable. They're looking for working utilities, safety hazards, no roof leaks, and most move-in ready homes pass without any kind of issues. If something does come up, you have options. The seller can fix it. You can renegotiate. Your real estate professionals will be able to navigate that with you right alongside you. The appraisal, it protects you from overpaying or buying a problem. That's a feature, not a liability. All right, if you've made it this far, here's what I want you to do. Click the link in the description below. Start your PCS checkpoints. It's 8 to 10 simple questions that help you decide what's actually in front of you. And we don't just stop at real estate. We make connections to CPAs, certified financial planners, estate attorneys, real estate professionals, whatever you need to make sure that you are set up for success. Book a free call right there once you get through the questions. We'll go through your numbers together, develop a plan that makes sense for your PCS transition, and I will connect you with a values aligned agent wherever you are moving, or a lender if that's what you need. That's what Transition Checkpoints is all about, planning with purpose. I'm Weldon Hobbs, transition strategist. I've helped hundreds of military families make their PCS just a little smoother. Good decisions, they start with good information, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.